even when I'm down. Got my head in the clouds and my feet on the ground. I got big dreams.
Yeah, we got big dreams here in the Genius Lab. Thank you for tuning into the podcast today. Today we're going to continue our series on thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. And we talked about this last time, that everything starts with a thought. Everything begins with a thought. And what you think about influences and creates the way that you feel. How you feel determines what your actions are. And what your actions are gives you the results. I remember listening to Tony Robbins one time. He said, every decision that you've made in your life has gotten you to where you are today. And that was a little bit ominous and a little bit frightening and a little bit inspiring, because I realized that if I pay attention and if I make good decisions, if I make, let's say this, let's not go good, bad. Let's go, if I make decisions that are in alignment with what I want to create, then I will create that thing. And we talked last time about how important it is to manage the mind. Like, what do you think about? What do you focus on? What you focus on, you feed. So where do your thoughts go? Are they on that positive realm? Are they, this is one of the classes that I do, or one of the coaching sessions that I do with people, is called GeniusLab session. And it ties to exactly what we're talking about today, because we talk about core values, core beliefs, mission, goals, and then we set up a plan of action. And it's really powerful, because most of the time when I ask people, tell me about what are your core values? What are your core beliefs? And most people don't know. And if you don't even know what you believe, then you're kind of like running with it's like you have a compass, but there's no needle on it, so you have no idea what direction to go. So it's really important. In this particular context, we have our thoughts that create feelings. And so I started looking at, what is a feeling? And I looked it up. And a couple of definitions that I really liked were, a feeling is an emotional state or reaction. Or another one is, it's a response to a belief. And I thought, well, isn't that kind of interesting? So if basically your feelings are emotional, an emotional state or an emotional response to a belief. So when we look at what we think about, our next step would be, what do we believe about those thoughts? Are these positive? A coach I work with, David Martin, he has this whole series on Mind to Win. And he talks about power positive and power negative thoughts and actions. So you want to think, is it power positive? Is it getting me where I want to go? Is it directing me towards my desired outcome? Or is it not? And feelings can be really tricky, because we think they're real, and they are real in the moment, but think of how quickly feelings change. Okay? Like, have you ever been really pissed off at somebody, and then you realize that you were misunderstanding what they were saying or what they were doing, and then your feelings immediately, like in the snap of a finger, your feelings change? Or you really love somebody, typical example, okay? You're in love with your girlfriend, and you walk into the living room, and she's making out with your best friend. Okay, your feelings change instantaneously, right? And so the thing that's so funny about feelings is in the moment they seem so strong, but then in reality they can change so quickly. So if we control our thoughts, then our feelings will fall into alignment with what our desired outcome is, if that's what our thoughts focus on. Then what that shows us is what we believe to be true. And then you realize, then all of a sudden you find out, no, she wasn't making out with him. She was giving him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation because he had passed out and what looked like something, what had you believe that they were in a compromised situation actually was not true. And guess what? Your feelings flip again. They change again. And then all of a sudden you're really grateful to her for saving your friend's life. So feelings can be really tricky, a really tricky part of this. So contempt prior to investigation is one of my favorite sayings. And how many times do we condemn something before we actually ask questions and find out what's going on? Sorry, I'm having a little coffee this morning. Anyway, so feelings. Pay attention to your thoughts. We've talked about that. We've talked about how important that is because they help create the feelings, and your feelings are an emotional state or response to a belief. So then we want to look at what are we believing about this feeling and where did the belief come from and what is our data that substantiates the belief. And it's really, when you get into that, all of a sudden you become more responsible with your feelings because you begin to, rather than be reactive, you become responsive. And when you respond to a belief, it's way different than reacting to a belief because it's done with thoughtfulness and it's done with consciousness and it's done with a level of integrity that reaction is not. So think about that. As you go through your day, pay attention to what you think about because that is determining how you feel. And when you have a feeling that is not in alignment with your desired outcome, in other words, I don't want to feel mad today. Well, why am I mad? What do I believe about this situation that's making me mad? So the other thing to do that's really interesting, if you really want to clear some stuff up, is look back over your life and see where you've acted impulsively, where something seemed like the only option at the time. And you made a decision based on a belief, and then that belief changed. I remember when I was in college, I went to a seminary. I was going to be a minister. I actually was a minister for about 8 years. But I had a particular belief system, and I remember arguing with my father about these theological beliefs. And I was adamant that I knew the right way and that I was interpreting the books that we used as our validation was absolutely right, and my dad was absolutely wrong, and his whole branch of the same religion was completely off base and didn't know what they were talking about, and blah, 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 blah. So the thing that was really funny is at one point in time, we're in this heated argument, and it struck me, it's like a light shone on my brain. Dude, how come you're fighting so much about this? If this is a religion filled with love and compassion and helpfulness, and mercy, and why are you fighting all the time? And I'm like, oh my God. And then I look back at the history of the religion when I did my thesis, and I'm like, oh my God, more people had been killed in the name of the religion that I was in than in all the wars combined. And so I was like, had a completely different belief. And I began to initiate conversations of compassion and love and understanding and responding to people's needs of how I could help, not how I could be right and make them wrong. It was really something. But the point is, I had dedicated my entire years of college to this belief system. I quit a very exciting career as a musician, and I was really dedicated. I had given up a lot for this, and then in a moment, in a second, my belief changed, and I no longer had the same belief, which means I didn't have the same feelings. And the way that I thought about my spirituality radically shifted. And then I began to come into alignment with people who had the same core values that I have, about caring and loving and doing something good for the greater good, before my own needs, so on and so forth. And so, and as I came into alignment with these people that had the same core values, it was easier to keep my thinking in alignment with what I wanted to create, which created the feelings of belonging and compassion and, the greater good, focusing on the greater good, seeing how I could make a positive impact in the world as opposed to what I could get from the world or how I could make the world agree with me. So, thoughts and feelings, powerful things. Pay attention to your feelings, be conscious, be intentional with how you feel, and see how it correlates to a belief that you have that might need to have a little work. All right, that's it for today. We'll be back soon talking about how to take actions in alignment with your thoughts and feelings.